The first game of the World Cup this week was the Australia game where they beat England by 18 points to 4. Australia were always going to win that game and they won it well. The start of it obviously followed on from the Wallabies in their Indigenous jersey, and the Australians did a welcome to country, which is something that they haven't really done before. Will, it was a good initiative.
I think it was a great initiative. It was, I think it's great that we embrace our multiculturalism and our Indigenous people. We've got a lot of Indigenous players that have played for Australia. JT up the back there. Obviously it probably needs a little bit of work. It's not going to be up there with the Sippy Tau or the Civitao or the Fiji and stuff. But I mean, it's a step in the right direction. So, it was all right.
JT probably needs to learn his lines.
Fuck yeah.
So, yeah, they won that game comfortably.
Yeah, I think there was a few holes in the Australian team, to be honest. I said this last week. The problem's going to be Gale. I said they're going to charge at him all the time.
Yeah.
And what happens? There's two tries for Gale. I mean, unless he picks his defence up, they're going to lose because you're going to have Gillett and Billy Slater running all these kinds of lines at you. Like, he didn't know what to do. He's sitting in his chair, as they say in rugby league, and they're just running straight over him. I mean, Wayne needs to address that because that other side held their own. But you got Gillett and you got Billy Slater on his favourite side. You got all these gun backs, and you know what I mean. Like, I knew that was going to happen. They were just going to go through the middle. The Poms would handle our middle quite easily. Sam Burgess was, it was a shame that he went off. But I mean, like, they still handled it. But I mean, like, unless they can fix that left edge up for them, see you later. You're going to get Taumalolo and all them sort of boys running at you. You know what I mean? So they need to fix it. New
Zealand were probably getting hammered before the World Cup started about the players that had pulled out. But geez, they put some points on Samoa.
Was New Zealand good or Samoa poor, Ren?
I think it was a mixture of a little bit of both. I mean, New Zealand definitely took their opportunities, but it was crappy fundamentals that New Zealand was scoring tries off. Our fifth tackle options were poor. Short side defence was poor. Our market defence was poor. And, I thought we were really in the game the first 20 minutes. New Zealand took that short side and they got that first opportunity where they scored that try. And then it was a bit of a wrestle and we got back to 10-4 at half time, and then it was just disappointing to see the score blow out like that. I'm questioning why Joseph Paulo's playing 5'8" when we got New Brown on the bench, like a halfback. I'd have Sefa. He's so good with the ball that you'd have him in the forwards. But I just think he got...
Or off the interchange.
Off the interchange. I'm not... Like, he's a great player. He's just not a natural half. Yeah. So you've got Ben Roberts there, who I should have been playing on the left edge anyway because he's a left-foot kicker, right-hand fan. And then you bring that New Brown, he covered a lot for the Sharks this year, who's a halfback into the side. I mean, like I said, our fifth top tackle options were poor, our basic fundamentals were poor, and for a test football, it's not good enough. But, and then we're up against Tonga this week, who's probably seriously could make the final this year.
They're the people's favourite at the moment. Can I say something? I mean, like, you played in the last World Cup where you made the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And, you've had such a great team. And even the talk about the Samoan team and the Tonga team this year has been probably more than ever because of the Taumalolo factor in Fafita. But, I mean, like, as I've heard there's been little holes in the coach, in the trusting in the coach. You know what I mean? Like, through the last World Cup and into the, into the build-up into this World Cup with Parrish. I mean, like, do you reckon he has got something to do with that? With obviously, he picks a team. I would never pick Paulo at 5'8". You know what I mean? Oh. And it just seemed that they usually play with so much passion, and it seemed that it just wasn't there. I mean, they were completing at 80%. If a big side like that completes at 80% at half time, usually going to put points on the board.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a great team. They've got a great team. I've been in that camp, and the spirit within the camp is good. It's got nothing to do with Matt or the coaching. Freddie Tuilangi comes in and he brings the culture into the boys and the spirit within the boys. I think the boys might have just got overawed by the occasion. I'm questioning a little bit of the selection of positional play. Yeah. But the squad itself is strong enough that we should be at least make the semi-finals. I think we're good enough to be in the semi-finals. he's definitely got some positions to sort out this week. I've looked at the team list and there hasn't been too many changes, whether or not that's a ploy that he can change the side just right before the game. But the way the Tongan team boys are playing at the moment, it could be another big score.
You got to understand. I mean, like Tonga had a great win, and at the moment now, I think they're the people's favourite. But they beat Scotland.
Yep.
You know.
Hey, Scotland.
Sorry.
Some
But
big
Scotland,
names
you
in
know,
that team.
Scotland had a draw. They had a draw in New Zealand last year.
Yeah, I know, I understand that, but I mean, like, and Samoa's played New Zealand. It's a different kettle of fish.
Yeah,
well, you know what I mean.
yeah.
Like, this week's game is going to be ridiculous. I can't wait till the fireworks just go crazy with the sippy towel. The sippy towel. It's going to go. It's going to be. It's going to go mental. You know
I think what the most disappointing thing is that we feel like we're bridging the gap against the big nations. You know, like the boys went over and played New Zealand in Whangarei a couple of years ago, and we got beat on the bell.
Yeah.
To see the scoreline blow out to 38-4, it's disappointing against a
decimated New Zealand side.
New Zealand team, yes, of course. But the passion, the strike within that team, and the belief is there. It just needs to all come together, especially against Tonga this week.
I mean, like, obviously, there's been a few stories this week with the Tongans and the Samoans. The young Tongan kids burnt the Samoan flag in New Zealand. There's been fights and all this kind of stuff. I just want to tell everyone in New Zealand just to support. I mean, the island boys, Tonga, Samoa, Fiji, we've all come a long way in the last 10 years to try and get to this stage. And for a couple of people just to mess it up, a minority, shame on you. So, just get to the game and support the game and support all the boys and don't cause any trouble, you know what I mean? Like, it's a World Cup stage. We're finally on the big stage. We just don't need them people stuffing it up. So behave yourself.
The people who definitely will come out to support their team this week is the USA, because they are massive fans. They got towed up by about 500 points against Fiji, which was not a massive surprise. Fiji, it's hard to judge how they went when they're beating a team.
I just love their hymn before the game, mate. It's like you watch
such
the
a beautiful voice,
like
Billy Kickout.
And
what a beautiful voice!
And you see like them all come together, and you see the Aussie trainer singing every word.
He was the night. He's a legend.
Just it gives me goosebumps just like watching.
Mate, did you see the passion? Just say in the Samoan side when they're singing the anthem. I mean, like you see the Tongan side, the Fijians, Kevin Nguama, there's tears out his eyes.
That's how much it means.
You see Junior Paulo, he's crying. You see Conrad Harrell, the tears are coming down. You see the passion in these guys' eyes, and you can't question. And this is what comes back to the Cooper Cronk thing and all these comments with Fafita and all these guys coming back. Yeah, it was bad timing, but you have a look when Fafita told his granddad and his granddad's bawling his eyes out.
Yeah.
You can't say me that. You can't tell me that was the wrong decision.
No.
You know what I mean? So you can't question what time or whatever bullshit thing you're coming up with. When's the perfect time?
No, that's right.
There's no perfect time. But you have a look at all them Pacific nations, you see how much it means to them, and it's unbelievable.
And that's the beautiful thing about our country is that we are multicultural and we do all have different backgrounds. So we should be able to represent our cultures without any repercussions or any sort of backlash. It doesn't take anything away from the Australian jersey. It's just as valuable as any other sort of nation. But to see the boys show emotion and cry when they're singing the anthem and doing their huckers, it's pretty special.
There was a lot of passionate and emotional Irish on the weekend after their national team that they talk of nothing else in Dublin, the Irish Rugby League team, but they have defeated Italy, which was a turn-up, really, considering the players Italy had.
I thought the Italians would have dusted them, but I think, though, you check that Irish side out, most of them play Super League week in, week out, so there's some tough boys there. So I expected Italy to win, to be honest.
Yeah.
But they got belted, man.
Yeah, they did. They got flogged. Look, the Irish ended up winning by 36 points to 12.
Yep.
There's obviously a little bit of trouble in the Italian camp. A couple of players have got into a bit of a donny after the game. But, look, I think the Irish side looked like they will trouble some teams.
Yeah.
Well, they did 2 World Cups ago.
They knocked quarterfinals?
Yeah, they got to the quarters.
2000?
Was it 2000?
Yeah,
a bit later than
that. No, it was in 2000.
So they
there was only 18 in those days.
Well, I got a bit of a story with the Irish, and they played Samoa at Parramatta Stadium to get into the quarters, and a few of the Samoan boys had already booked their flights to Brisbane and thought they were going to play in the semis, and the Irish had knocked them out.
Wow.
So,
is that right?
Yeah,
Conor
that's
McGregor
it.
turned up and knocked him out. That's about it.
The Irish.
Well, the other big game of the round that no one talked of as much as they should have, because it was a cracking game, Lebanon versus France.
Anyway, no, I think Lebanon is surprised. I don't think they surprised themselves because, I mean, like they had Mitchell Moses, they got Robbie Farah, they got Tim Manor. They're in key positions. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, and you got Michael Leisha as well. So you got 4 people that play in and out, week in, week out, NRL. So, you know, all you got to do is fit a couple of little pieces around them and, you know, everything seems to go well. So most of these other teams that you see them struggle, they haven't got a 9, 7 and 6 and a 1. You know what I mean? So they lose that combination. But when you got people that play week in, week out first grade, like Robbie Farah, Mitchell Moses, and Tim Manor in the middle, and you got a couple other guys that you can sort of lead around, it's not that bad.
No, they play. I mean, it was actually a pretty good game of footy too, to be
I
fair.
expected more from the Frenchies.
Did you though?
I did.
They play alongside
They
each other a lot
play
more.
that's what I'm saying, familiarity. I mean, like they play, there's at least about 6 or 7 of them that play with the Catalans.
This week, Australia play your favourite team, France. They play together. They should be fine. The Catalans versus Australia. That should be a close game. That one.
Well, I just think some of these games, I mean, you just got to go through all the shit in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and just the cream will rise to the top. Obviously, Australia's going to put out a couple of young kids. You know, Tom Trbojevic is going to make his debut.
He's a good footballer.
And he'll probably score about 3 tries, you know, the way that he goes. But the Frenchies will, you know, they'll try as hard as they can, but, you know, the Aussies will probably put about 50 on them.
So New Zealand, Scotland, dog shit game.
I think the Scots probably got a little bit of a reality check. I think they thought they were going to go all right against the Tongans.
I like their shorts. You see their shorts?
Yeah, I want
to get a pair of them.
I'm going to
I want a pair of those shorts. England versus Lebanon.
That's going to be... Mate, Robbie Farah's called him out and said that they're a chance of upsetting him. What are your thoughts, Reni?
Oh, you just fly under the radar a bit, wouldn't you? Like in your first World Cup for Lebanon, you don't
Don't worry
really
about it,
call
mate.
out
You might just
England.
get all the boys behind you. Who
I mean,
knows?
the boys would be behind them, but you just fly under the radar a bit. I hope they do go well.
I don't think the Lebanon team's going to upset him, but they'll give him a good crack.
They won't. None of these teams are
None
going to
of
stop
these-
trying. Look, they're all playing internationals, and we're not in any way having a crack at them. It's just that the reality of it is that some teams are stronger than others, and so
I think it's great that the game's grown. You know, I said this last week. I said when the Union went out there in '95 and they put the Japanese side in there, they got beat 150-0 by the All Blacks. Then you have a look at the last World Cup. They beat South Africa. Now they're going to host the Rugby Union World Cup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we can't just slide past all these nations getting beat by 50 and think, oh, that's the end of you. You know what I mean? They just got to keep persisting with it and putting more nations up there and just keep building and building the game. When I first started, it was just the Tri-Nations.
yeah.
It was England, Australia, New Zealand. And that was it.
Yeah.
You know, and then it went to 4 nations. So we added another one, like the French come in or the Scottish come in, you know, someone like that. And now, then they threw a World Cup in. You know, there was a World Cup in 2000, but after the 2000 thing, it just went to shit, pretty much, the whole World Cup.
And to be fair to the going back to the Taumalolo and the Fafita things, you wouldn't have this World Cup if you didn't let these players play for their national or their heritage, because you just wouldn't have it. So I think it's been a good thing, and it's been proved in that first.
And that's
round.
only been because of a rule change of the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Because before that, a lot of the Tongans and that, and Lebanese and all these sort of guys, just say if Robbie Farah didn't make the Australian side, he wasn't allowed to play for Lebanon. You know, the Rugby League World Cup, their own body have gone, okay, well, if you can't play for your nation, you know, if you're a Tongan Samoan and you want to play for Australia or New Zealand, you can play for your home nation, you know what I mean? So they're doing a good thing.
And the Commonwealths are playing against Ireland. That'll actually be a pretty good game. The Irish played okay last week, so the Commonwealths will kill them. But
They might be used to the heat, I suppose, you know, at least they've got a couple of... Well, they played in Cairns. Did they
so
not?
they've played one game. They're used to the heat. They
I
live
mean,
in
they at least
Ireland.
are there for a couple of weeks, and they've got to play in
I'm telling you,
PNG. Is it a different? Is it
The
different?
elements, no, it's the same heat. You know, it's not. Cairns isn't that far from Papua New Guinea, from Port Moresby anyway. So you got to take the elements into account, because I'm telling you right now, sitting in that stadium was ridiculous. It was the hottest atmosphere I'd ever been in, and I think the game's a bit later this one.
Yes,
Could be wrong.
hopefully.
But if you know, the Irish will struggle with the conditions. Definitely, the Cornwalls will definitely be favourites.
Yeah,
I
and
don't think anyone's going to beat the Cornwalls up there.
the last game, Fiji just beat Wales. So that's the end.